My phone screen glowed with the number 43. 43 missed calls. That's what I woke up to the morning after I posted the pictures. Just a few simple photos of my new front porch, the wooden rails dusted with fresh snow, and the tall pine trees standing guard. My caption was simple, honest. Best Christmas gift I could ask for. For more than 10 years, my family had forgotten to include me in their Christmas. This time, they remembered me in just a few hours, but only to tell me that my brother and his wife, who was expecting a baby, would be moving in with me. They thought my quiet response meant I felt bad. It didn't. It meant I was getting ready. By the time they asked me to that family dinner, I had already prepared a surprise for them. Something that would make this a Christmas they would always remember. As long as I can remember, Christmas with my family was never about feeling warm and loved. It was about how things looked to other people. My dad, Robert, a top-level finance guy, always said that a family's good name was its most important treasure. My mom, Carol, used to be a news reporter and now did charity work. She was the type who could smile for a photo at a fundraiser but wouldn't know the name of the woman filling her water glass. Then there was Mark, my older brother, the star of the family. Every little win of his was a big celebration. Every one of my achievements was just a whisper in the background. When I turned 10, they all forgot my birthday because Mark had a baseball game. I sat by myself at the kitchen table with a single candle stuck in a muffin from the store. My Nana, Rose, called that night, so angry that no one had remembered. She was the only one who ever saw the small things, the only one who made me feel like I mattered. Years went by and nothing changed. Mark became a lawyer. Mom boasted about him to all her friends, and Dad called him the future of our family. When I graduated at the top of my class, they sent flowers. There was no card, no phone call. I told myself it was fine, but every holiday showed me it wasn't. Our house in the nice part of town looked perfect from the street, big, with clean white trim and perfect grass, but it never felt like a real home. Behind the fancy Christmas decorations and expensive wreaths, there were quiet, sharp words and a feeling that everyone had their place, and mine was at the bottom. Every Christmas, Mark's presents took up half the room, expensive jewelry, trips, a brand new car when he turned 21. My gifts were usually a plain card with the words, "You should be thankful." Nana Rose tried to fix it. She'd mail me scarves she knitted herself or have me over to bake and listen to old songs on her record player. Those afternoons were the only time the holidays didn't hurt. But after she moved a couple hours away, I was alone again. By the time I turned 30, I had made a life for myself far away from them. I was a lead designer at a place called Crestline Design Company, a job I got through years of late nights and hearing no from clients over and over. My place was small, but it was all mine. I hadn't been asked to come home for Christmas in over 10 years. Not a single time. And still, every December, I'd look through social media and see their happy faces under the same fancy light, with a caption that always said, "Family is everything." That line used to feel like a knife. Now it just made me feel empty. This year, though, something was different. For the first time, that old hurt was gone. I wasn't waiting for an invite that would never arrive. I was waiting for something else, something I couldn't name yet, but I was about to find out. They had forgotten me every single year. I was going to remind them exactly who they had left behind. It started with a number on my computer screen, $85,000. That was my year-end bonus from Crestline. 6 months of running a huge project for the company, countless nights sleeping at the office, and now all that work had a number attached to it. I stared at the bank notification, the way people stare at a shooting star, not quite believing it. My first thought wasn't to go out and party. It was to tell someone. But then I stopped. Who was there to tell? My coworkers would say good job and then move on. My family would find a way to make it about Mark. They always did. That night, I poured a drink and opened my laptop. Maybe it was the quiet. Maybe it was the feeling of another December spent alone. But I found myself looking at houses for sale, little cabins, apartments, homes in the mountains. And then I saw it. A picture that made my heart stop for a second. A house in a small mountain town, sitting high above everything else, made of wood and stone and so much glass. 3 bedrooms, 2 fireplaces, and a huge deck looking out over miles of snowy pine trees. The kind of place you see in movies where people go to find themselves. I didn't stop to think. I called the real estate agent that same night. Her name was Sarah Vance, and she talked fast, probably younger than me. She offered to do a video tour. I said yes right away. The next morning, as the sun came through my window, her video call started. She showed me the rooms, a big kitchen, high ceilings, every window full of light like a new beginning. I could already see myself there. Quiet mornings with coffee and snow. Evenings with music filling the air. "I'll take it," I said, before she was even done. Sarah looked surprised. "You mean you want to make an offer?" "No," I said. "I want to buy it." She gave a little unsure laugh. "Are you sure? Don't you want to think about it overnight?" "I've done enough thinking in my life," I told her. "Not about this." By lunchtime, I had sent the deposit. By evening, all the papers were signed. For the next 3 weeks, I worked all day and built my new life at night. Furniture arriving, paint on my hands, music playing in the empty rooms. It was tiring, but it was all mine. On December 21st, I stood in the finished living room. The fire was going, the smell of pine filled the air. For the first time, I felt something real calm. I took a few pictures, the porch, the fireplace, the amazing view, and put them online. The caption was simple. Best Christmas gift I could ask for. 10 minutes later, my phone started to vibrate. Then it didn't stop. Messages from Mom, Dad, Mark. So many of them. "Where did you get that kind of money? You should have talked to us first. We'll have Christmas at your new place." I looked at the screen, and I smiled for the first time in a long time. They hadn't invited me to Christmas in years. Now they were inviting themselves. 2 days after I posted the photos, a message from Mom popped up in the family group. "Family dinner. December 23rd, 7 p.m. You must be there." I almost laughed out loud. The same people who hadn't talked to me in months were suddenly giving me orders. I started to type a reply, then erased it. Instead, I put the date in my calendar like it was just another meeting. When the night came, the family home looked exactly the same as always. White lights wrapped around every porch post. A giant Christmas tree shining in the window, a scene of perfect, controlled mess. I parked my car at the end of the long driveway and took a deep breath. Dad opened the door before I could even knock. Living room. No hello, no hug, not even a look my way. His voice was short, like a boss about to let someone go. Mom and Mark were already sitting down, both looking like they had practiced their parts. My sister-in-law, Chloe, sat next to him, her hands on her pregnant stomach, her eyes looking down, but you could tell she was paying close attention. Dad didn't waste a second. "Whose house is that, Sophia?" I took off my coat, folded it slowly over the back of a chair, and sat down. "Mine." "That's not possible," Mom said, her voice shaking just enough to seem delicate. "You're just a designer. You can't afford a place like that." I smiled. "It looks like I can." Mark leaned forward. "You should have talked to us before making a decision that big. It's not smart." "Talked to you?" I said. "Since when does what I do with my money need your approval?" Dad let out a loud breath. "That's enough. This is exactly what I'm talking about. That house is too much for one person. You should have everyone over for Christmas. Let the family celebrate there." Mom jumped in. "And Mark and Chloe can stay there for a little while after the baby is born. It's perfect for them. Quiet, lots of space." For a second, I thought I had heard them wrong. Then I saw the look on Mark's face, like he deserved it, so sure of himself, like he was already picking out new curtains. I let out a small laugh. It wasn't loud, but it cut right through the room. You want to live in my house? Mom put her hands together. Just until they find something bigger, Dad added. This is what family does, Sophia. We help each other. I looked from one face to the next, the same faces that had forgotten me for years. When have any of you ever helped me? The room went silent. Dad's jaw got tight. We raised you. You raised Mark, I said quietly. I raised myself. Mom's eyes got watery on cue. You're being so dramatic. No, I said, standing up. I'm just being honest. For 30 years, I had been the one they forgot. But now they needed something from me, and they couldn't stand it. As I picked up my coat, Dad's voice turned icy. If you walk out that door, you are no longer part of this family. I paused, my hand on the doorknob, and gave a small smile. You let me go years ago. I'm just making it official. The door clicked shut behind me, turning 30 years of silence into a single, final sound. They thought my quiet meant I was giving up. It didn't. It meant I had a plan. The night after that dinner, I hardly slept. Not because I was upset, but because I wasn't. For the first time, the anger was gone, replaced by a clear, sharp understanding that was so strong I could almost hear it. They wanted my house. My quiet place. The one thing I had built completely without them. And they thought I would just give it to them because I should feel bad, or because it was tradition, or some messed up idea of what family means. They didn't get it. I had spent my whole life working for things that were just handed to them. I wasn't giving this up. The next morning, I called Sarah, my realtor, and asked her to send me every single paper from buying the house, the deed, the loan papers, the proof that it was mine. Everything with my name on it, I told her. She sent it over in an hour. I printed every page, put them all in a thick white envelope, and placed it in my bag. Then I waited. On December 23rd, the day they picked for their family dinner, a text arrived. Don't be late, Mom wrote. We have things to talk about. I drove through the falling snow, the road winding through neighborhoods covered in lights and big plastic snowmen. Every house I passed looked warm and full of love. By the time I got to their place, the cold felt like it was deep inside me. The big house shined like a palace of money. Through the large windows, I could see the long dining table all set up. The silverware was polished, champagne was cooling, and all their smiles looked practiced. When I walked in, all the talking stopped. Dad stood at the head of the table, one hand holding a glass, the other in his pocket like a general. Good, you're here, he said. Sit down. I didn't. I stayed on my feet. Say what you need to say. Mom sighed like I was the one causing trouble. Sophia, please. It's Christmas. We don't want to argue. Mark leaned back in his chair with a smug look. We just have to be practical. You have a new house sitting empty, and we have a baby coming. It just makes sense. Makes sense, I repeated. You mean it's easy for you? He just shrugged. Same thing. Dad put his glass down hard enough to make a ringing sound. Your brother needs help. Family helps each other. Where was that help, I asked, when you left me with my Nana every holiday for 10 years? When you forgot every birthday until I stopped even mentioning it? Mom's face tightened. We've made errors, but this isn't the time to bring up old history. That's the whole problem, I said softly. You think pain just fades away after a while? The feeling in the room changed. No one moved. Even Chloe looked up, her face showing a mix of guilt and worry. I reached into my bag and pulled out the envelope. You want to talk about family? Okay. Let's start with the truth. Dad frowned. What is that? The deed, I said, laying it on the table. To my house. The one you think I bought for your son? Mark made a dismissive sound. You don't have to be so defensive. Oh, I'm not defensive, I said. I'm just making sure everything is clear. Mom's voice broke, the shake in it sounding practiced. Sophia, we just want to be together for Christmas. You're taking this all the wrong way. The wrong way? I laughed. You left me out for 13 Christmases. The only time you remembered I was alive was when I posted something you wanted for yourselves. No one spoke. The fire crackled behind me, a soft, harsh sound. Then Dad's anger finally broke. You are being selfish. You've changed, Sophia. You've become cold, and greedy, and independent. I cut him off. That's the word you're looking for. He stepped closer. You will not speak to me that way. I'm not a kid anymore, Dad. You can't make me do what you want by making me feel bad. Mark slammed his hand on the table. You are part of this family, whether you want to be or not. I looked right at him. You're right. I am part of it. The part you forgot could live a full life without you. For a second, you could hear a pin drop. Then I did something none of them saw coming. I smiled. Since we're all being so practical, I said, sliding a second envelope across the table, here's a letter from my lawyer. It says that if any of you try to go into or live in my house without my permission, it will be trespassing. The important parts of the law are marked for you. Merry Christmas. Mom gasped. Dad's jaw was so tight I could hear his teeth grinding. Mark's smug look completely disappeared. You wouldn't, he whispered. I already have, I said. That house is mine. The locks have codes. The cameras are on. You are not welcome. Mom stood up suddenly, her face red. We gave you everything. No, I said quietly. You gave me nothing. And I built everything I have from that nothing. A deep silence filled the room like a fog. Even the music from another room seemed to get quieter. I turned to leave, but I stopped for just a moment to look at Dad. You said I was cutting ties, I said. You were right. I'm finally free. I walked out before anyone could say another word. Outside, the snow was coming down harder, soft flakes landing on my coat and melting from the warmth of my skin. I could still hear them yelling through the door, their voices a mess of anger and shock. But for me, it was all fading away, like noise from a distant radio. I didn't need to hear it anymore. By the time I got to my car, my phone was buzzing nonstop again. Calls from Mom, messages from Dad, a voicemail from Mark. I let it ring until the screen went dark. Then I drove away. The road up the mountain twisted through the darkness, and the world I was leaving behind got smaller and smaller. When I finally got to my house, it was past midnight. The lights I'd hung on the porch twinkled softly, welcoming me like a good friend. Inside, the fire was still warm. On the counter was a bottle of wine, half empty, and next to it, a single wrapped present I'd left for myself. Inside wasn't anything fancy, just a small silver keychain with 3 words engraved on it, my own home. I sat by the window, looking out at the snow, and finally let out a breath I felt like I'd been holding for 30 years. I hadn't ruined Christmas. I had taken it back for myself. And somewhere down in the city, the people who used to control my silence were learning how it felt to be the ones who were ignored. They had wanted to move into my house. Instead, they moved out of my life for good. Christmas morning arrived, quiet and bright. My mountain house smelled like cinnamon and pine, the fire humming its low, steady song. Outside, snow stacked up softly on the deck railing. Inside, the air was filled with laughter. Not their laughter, but mine. My cousins had driven up the night before, bringing food, music, and a warmth that didn't need to be faked. Nana Rose sat by the window, knitting, a gentle smile on her face. When I handed her a cup of coffee, she squeezed my hand. You look calm, she said. I am, I answered, surprised by how true it felt. My phone buzzed on the counter. 23 missed calls. I turned it over so the screen faced down. No guilt, no hurt, just quiet. That afternoon, we played cards, toasted marshmallows in the fireplace, and sang old Christmas songs badly and loudly, the way Nana loved. For once, no one was pretending to be anything they weren't. As it got dark, I stepped outside by myself. The whole valley below glowed under the moonlight, peaceful and still. I had spent so many years waiting for my family to remember I existed. But standing there, I realized that being forgotten had been the thing that finally set me free. I used to think that being left out was the worst kind of hurt. Watching them smile in family pictures, lift their glasses, and act like I was never there. I thought I wanted to be invited, to be picked. But now I understand that sometimes, being left out is the kindest gift life can give you. It's the first step toward finding real peace. Every wall I built, every door I locked, wasn't made from anger. It was made from knowing my own worth. Boundaries that keep safe the person I worked so hard to become. I didn't buy that house to show them anything. I bought it to finally have a place where love didn't come with a list of conditions. Where I didn't have to fight for a seat at the table. They can keep their perfect dinners, their shiny lies, their speeches about how things look to others. I'll keep what they can never have. Real laughter. Real warmth that you earn. A silence that feels like freedom. Sometimes peace doesn't look like everyone making up. Sometimes it looks like snow falling quietly outside your own window, while the world that once caused you so much pain keeps turning, far, far away. If you've ever had to choose your own peace over fitting in, tell me in the comments. You aren't weak for walking away. You are strong for finally finding your way home.